Music fades. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have a very special and thought-provoking topic to share with you. We're going to delve deep into the philosophies of one of the most influential contemporary thinkers of our times, Byung-Chul Han. Now, you might be wondering, who is Byung-Chul Han? Well, he is South Korean-born German philosopher, cultural theorist, and prolific author known for his thought-provoking take on modern society. His ideas are radical, revolutionary, and at times quite challenging to digest. But trust me, by the end of this video, you will be viewing the world around you through a completely different lens. Han's theories question the very fabric of our modern existence, the invisible structures that shape our lives, our desires, and our identities. He challenges us to see beneath the surface, to question the norm, and to confront the emptiness that he suggests lurks within our modern lives. In today's video, titled Byung-Chul Han reveals the truth behind the emptiness of modern life, we will be exploring some of Han's most profound ideas that revolve around these concepts. We'll talk about his views on the destructive forces of neoliberalism and consumer culture, and how they have led to a culture of performance and achievement that leaves us feeling empty and exhausted. We'll also take a closer look at his concept of the burnout society, a term he coined to illustrate the mental and emotional exhaustion that comes with living in a world that constantly demands more and more from us. But that's not all. We'll delve into Han's understanding of the self in the digital age, where we are constantly surveilled and our lives are measured in likes, shares, and retweets. Han argues that this has led to a culture of transparency that erodes our privacy and individuality, leaving us feeling isolated and at times alienated. Additionally, we'll explore Han's take on the aesthetics of the modern world, where he believes the relentless pursuit of smoothness and perfection has stripped away the beauty of the rough, the raw, and the real. In Han's view, this obsession with perfection has led to a kind of aesthetic sterility that contributes to the feeling of emptiness in our lives. We're also going to dive into his thoughts about love in the modern age, and how our constant need for self-optimization and self-marketing has transformed love into a commodity, thereby losing its essence. Finally, we'll examine Han's proposition for how we might escape this emptiness, and his call for us to embrace otherness, negativity, and the power of contemplation as a means of reclaiming our lives from the relentless drive of positivity and achievement. So, sit back, get comfortable, and prepare to have your mind expanded and your perspectives challenged as we venture into the fascinating world of Byung-Chul Han. Let's get started. Music fades. Byung-Chul Han is a modern philosopher whose work probes deeply into the complexities of contemporary life. Born in Seoul, South Korea, in 1959, Han's journey to philosophy was anything but ordinary. He initially studied metallurgy in Korea before he decided to migrate to Germany in 1985. In Germany, he switched gears completely, choosing to study philosophy, German literature, and Catholic theology in Freiburg and Munich. Han's foray into philosophy has been marked by a unique perspective, influenced by his diverse background. His ideas are a blend of Eastern and Western philosophies, and he often uses parables and metaphors drawn from both traditions to explain complex concepts. He has been a professor at the University of Basel and is currently teaching at the Berlin University of the Arts. Han's philosophy is a critique of contemporary society, which he believes is dominated by neoliberalism, positivity, and self-exploitation. He argues that in today's society, people are encouraged to constantly perform, to always be productive, and to relentlessly self-optimize. This, he says, leads to a culture of burnout, exhaustion, and depression. His books, such as The Burnout Society, The Transparency Society, and In the Swarm Digital Prospects, dive deep into these concepts. Han also has a fascinating perspective on technology. He doesn't see it as an unambiguous force for good, as many do. Instead, he warns that the digital age, with its endless connectivity and constant surveillance, is leading us towards a dystopian future, where our every move is tracked and our every thought is predicted. He argues that this constant connectivity and exposure rob us of our ability to be alone, to be bored, and ultimately, to be free. But perhaps what sets Han apart from other modern philosophers is his focus on what he calls the power of the negative. He believes that we, as a society, have become obsessed with the positive, with success, with achievement. This obsession, he argues, leaves no room for failure, for negativity, for contemplation. And it's in this negativity, in this ability to embrace failure and to contemplate, that he believes we can find true freedom and creativity. Intriguing, isn't it? But how can embracing failure lead to freedom and creativity? And what does Han suggest we do to counter the problems of the digital age and the culture of burnout? Well, for all those answers and more, stay tuned, because coming up next, we dive deeper into Byung-Chul Han's philosophy, and we unravel his proposed solutions to the emptiness of modern life. In this segment, we delve into the wisdom of Byung-Chul Han, a renowned Korean-German philosopher who presents a radical perspective on the emptiness of modern life. He offers a critical understanding of our current society, marked by performance pressure, self-exploitation, digitalization, and the obsession with positivity. According to Han, we live in a time where we are not oppressed by external forces, but by internal ones. We live in what he calls the burnout society, a society characterized by the drive to achieve and the constant need to perform. This incessant push to succeed, he suggests, is not forced upon us by some external authority. Instead, it is a pressure that we impose upon ourselves. We have become our own oppressors in the quest for achievement and success. Han refers to this era as the achievement society, one where we are no longer workers, but achievers. We are not just working, but also striving, not just living, but optimizing. We have become entrepreneurs of ourselves, constantly seeking to improve, to be more productive, to be more efficient. But this quest for ceaseless achievement isn't leading to fulfillment or happiness. Instead, it's leading to exhaustion, fatigue, and a profound sense of emptiness. The digitalization of our lives, Han argues, only compounds this problem. Social media platforms, for example, have transformed us into performers and exhibitionists, constantly seeking validation and approval from others. We are continuously projecting a certain image of ourselves, an image that is often idealized and detached from our real-life experiences. This constant performance and self-exhibition lead to a sense of alienation and emptiness, where we feel disconnected from our authentic selves. Furthermore, Han criticizes the positivity culture that pervades modern society. He suggests that this culture rejects and suppresses negative experiences, emotions, and thoughts. We are taught to always look on the bright side, to stay positive, to keep smiling. But this obsession with positivity, according to Han, disconnects us from the complexities and richness of human experience. It denies us the understanding that suffering, pain, and negativity are integral parts of life. In essence, Byung-Chul Han paints a rather bleak picture of modern life. But his critique is not without purpose. It serves as a wake-up call, a call to reevaluate our lifestyle choices, our societal structures, and our understanding of what it means to live a truly fulfilling life. So, what does a fulfilling life look like according to Han? And how can we navigate and counter the emptiness of modern life? This brings us to the next section, where we'll explore Han's proposed solutions and his unique philosophy of the art of lingering. So, stay tuned as we delve deeper into the thought-provoking insights of Byung-Chul Han. Now, let's delve into Byung-Chul Han's concept of the burnout society. To Han, our modern society is no longer dominated by prohibitions, limitations, or the negation symbolized by no. Instead, it's a society of performance, achievement, and affirmation, where the commandment is yes, you can. We've transitioned from a disciplinary society to an achievement society, where everyone is an entrepreneur of themselves, striving for constant self-optimization. But at what cost? Han warns that this pressure to achieve leads to a culture of burnout, exhaustion, depression, and fatigue. The burnout society is not just about individuals feeling overwhelmed, but about an entire society running on overdrive, pushed to its limits. We're not just working ourselves to physical exhaustion, we're depleting our mental and emotional resources, leading to a societal crisis of health and well-being. Han suggests that the yes we can mentality creates a paradoxical situation. While it gives an illusion of freedom and empowerment, it's actually a new kind of enslavement. We're not commanded by an external power anymore. Instead, we're driven by an internal compulsion to perform and achieve. We're haunted by the constant need to do more, be more. This self-exploitation is more devastating because it comes with the feeling of freedom, creating what Han calls the exhausted self. In the burnout society, depression and burnout become the defining mental health issues of our time. But it's not just about individuals. Han argues that the burnout society reflects a deeper problem, an emptiness at the heart of our culture. We're so focused on doing, achieving, and optimizing that we've lost sight of being. We've lost our ability to just exist, to be present and engaged in the world. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's bleak. What's the solution? Han doesn't offer simple answers. Instead, he calls for a radical rethinking of our values. We need to challenge the constant pressure to achieve and optimize. We need to create spaces for reflection, contemplation, and rest. We need to reclaim the value of being overdoing. The burnout society presents a stark picture of modern life. It is a critique, a warning, and a call to action. It's a reminder that we need to question the narratives that drive us, to recognize the cost of our relentless pursuit of achievement and success. So, how does this burnout society affect our personal relationships and social interactions? And how can this lead to a culture of negativity? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into Han's philosophy in the next section. The Transparency Society. In Byung-Chul Han's perspective, the modern culture of transparency is a key contributory factor to the emptiness of modern life. At first glance, transparency may seem like an ideal to strive for, a symbol of honesty, openness, and equity. But Han pushes us to think again. Transparency, in Han's view, is not simply about being open. It's about being exposed, being visible, and being scrutinized. Our digital lives, our work lives, our social lives, everything is being laid bare for all to see. Privacy is becoming a scarce commodity. We are living in an era of exhibitionism where the more we reveal, the more we feel valued. But what happens when everything is transparent? When there is no place to hide, no room for mystery or ambiguity? According to Han, this is where the emptiness begins. In our pursuit of transparency, we have created a culture that values exposure over depth and surface over substance. As a result, we've become a society of performers, constantly curating our lives for the public gaze. We live in an age of self-promotion, where we strive to be seen, to be recognized, to be validated. But in this culture of constant exhibition, the value of the individual is diminished. We are judged not by who we are, but by the quality of our performances, by the number of likes, shares, and followers we can amass. Yet, this constant exposure can lead to exhaustion. It's a vicious cycle where the more we expose ourselves, the more we feel the need to keep up the performance, to keep revealing more, to keep attracting attention. And the more we do this, the emptier we feel. Han argues that the culture of transparency erodes our sense of self, leading to a sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction. Byung-Chul Han asserts that the culture of transparency is not only creating an emptiness in our lives, but is also a form of violence. He argues that in a transparent society, the otherness, the mystery, the unknown that makes each of us unique is eradicated. We are stripped of our individuality and reduced to data points in an algorithm. This, according to Han, is a form of violence that is inflicted on us by the culture of transparency. Han's critique of the culture of transparency is a call to question our obsession with visibility and exposure. It's an invitation to rethink our relationship with privacy, individuality, and authenticity. It's a challenge to resist the pressure to perform, to curate, to expose, and to instead embrace the mystery, the ambiguity, the depth that makes us truly human. But if transparency is causing such harm, why do we continue to embrace it? Why do we willingly participate in this culture of exposure? And most importantly, how can we reclaim our individuality and fill the emptiness created by this culture of transparency? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into Byung-Chul Han's thought-provoking insights in the next section. As we delve deeper into the philosophy of Byung-Chul Han, we encounter one of his most thought-provoking concepts, the era of positivity. Han asserts that we are living in a time where the pressure to stay positive, to always be productive, and to always look on the bright side has left us empty and exhausted. In his works, Han contrasts this era with what he calls the society of negativity, which was characterized by clear boundaries, prohibitions, and external constraints. The modern society, he argues, has transformed into a society of positivity, where the lines between work and leisure, public and private, are blurred. We no longer live under the dictatorship of should not, but under the tyranny of can. The can here is the constant pressure and expectation to perform, to optimize, to excel. Instead of being told what we cannot do, we are constantly told what we can do, and subsequently feel like we must do. Han suggests that this shift has led to a change in how we perceive our own suffering. In the past, suffering was seen as a result of external oppression, something imposed on us. But in the era of positivity, suffering is often seen as a personal failure. If we're unhappy, stressed, or not successful, we're told it's because we're not trying hard enough, or not thinking positively enough. The era of positivity, then, is an era of self-exploitation, where we are both the oppressors and the oppressed. Han further argues that this culture of positivity is leaving us emotionally depleted. We're in a constant state of striving, of trying to improve ourselves, to achieve more, to constantly be on. And this endless pursuit of positivity and productivity is leaving no room for contemplation, rest, or genuine human connection. This isn't to say that positivity in itself is harmful. Optimism and ambition can be powerful motivators, but when they become societal expectations, when they leave no room for negativity, for failure, or for rest, that's when they become oppressive. Han's critique of the era of positivity is a call to recognize the pressures of our modern society, to question the constant demands for productivity and positivity, and to make space for rest, for contemplation, and for acceptance of our own limitations. But the question remains, how can we escape this positivity trap? Or better yet, how can we transform this era of positivity into a more balanced era, where positivity and negativity can coexist, where we can be productive without being self-exploitative, where we can strive for more without losing ourselves in the process? In the next section, we'll explore Byung-Chul Han's suggestions for how to navigate this era of positivity, and how to find balance in our demanding modern lives. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the philosophy of one of the most influential thinkers of our time. Moving on to the role of technology. According to Byung-Chul Han, it's a key player in the phenomenon of the emptiness of modern life. He emphasizes that technology is not merely a tool. It has evolved into a lifestyle, a culture, an environment, and in many ways, a new form of reality. It's a reality that has been intertwined with our lives to an extent where a disconnect seems both unimaginable and impossible. Han makes a compelling argument that technology is reshaping our understanding of self and society. It's worth noting that he doesn't necessarily demonize technology. In fact, he acknowledges that it's a powerful force that has brought numerous benefits, from the democratization of information to unprecedented connectivity. However, he cautions us about the other side of the coin. The accessibility and convenience of technology have led us into a paradoxical trap where our freedom and autonomy are being compromised. We've become a society of constant availability and hyperconnectivity, where the lines between work and leisure, public and private, are increasingly blurred. This condition, Han posits, is causing psychological exhaustion and a profound sense of emptiness in a world that is always switched on. He warns, we're losing the capacity for solitude and contemplation. We're constantly bombarded with stimuli, yet we're becoming less capable of deep, meaningful engagement. Han refers to this as the era of tiredness, where the frenzy of constant communication and information overloads leads to fatigue, not empowerment. Furthermore, Han argues that the digital age, with its emphasis on transparency and visibility, is eradicating the mystery and the otherness that enrich our lives. We're living in a world, he says, where everything is exposed, leaving no room for the unknown, the unpredictable, the uncertain, the very aspects that lend a sense of purpose and excitement to our lives. This brings us to the concept of digital narcissism, where the selfie culture and social media platforms encourage us to present an idealized version of ourselves. Han argues that this constant self-promotion and the pressure to maintain an online persona are adding to the feeling of emptiness. They are promoting a culture of sameness, where individuality and authenticity are being compromised. In essence, Byung-Chul Han's view on the role of technology in our lives is a wake-up call. It's a call to critically examine our relationship with technology, to question the trade-offs of this digital age. It's not about dismissing technology, but about finding a balance that allows us to benefit from its advantages while preserving our mental health and well-being. So, how do we negotiate this relationship with technology? What are the alternatives to this exhausting hyperactivity and constant availability? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into Han's solutions for breaking free from this cycle of digital fatigue. Because, as he suggests, the answer might lie in something as simple, yet profound, as the power of the negative. Now, let's dive into the solution that Byung-Chul Han proposes, a return to negativity. But wait, negativity? Isn't it something we're often told to avoid? Well, it's not quite that simple. According to Han, our contemporary society's obsession with positivity, achievement, and constant action leaves us feeling drained and empty. This, he argues, can be counteracted by embracing negativity in its various forms. Firstly, let's understand what Han means by negativity. He's not advocating for pessimism or nihilism, but rather a philosophy that embraces contemplation, pauses, and the acceptance of limitations. In a world that celebrates incessant productivity and endless choice, Han suggests that we need to relearn the art of saying no. Why no, you might ask? Because, according to Han, the ability to say no is what allows us to set boundaries, to recognize our limits, and to create a space for contemplation and rest. It's about embracing the notion that we can't, and indeed, shouldn't do everything. It's about understanding that constant positivity and overstimulation can lead to burnout and a sense of emptiness. So, how can we practically apply this philosophy? Han suggests a few ways. One is through mindfulness and meditation, practices that allow us to slow down, to become aware of our thoughts and feelings, and to create a space of quiet contemplation. Another is through embracing limitations, whether that's limiting our screen time, our work hours, or our consumption. But Han goes further than this. He also advocates for a cultural shift, a collective re-evaluation of our obsession with positivity and productivity. He suggests that we need to learn to value rest and contemplation as much as we value action and achievement. This, he argues, can create a more balanced, fulfilling society. This might seem counterintuitive in our achievement-oriented society, but Han argues that it's precisely this counterintuitiveness that makes it so necessary. He suggests that our current approach, far from leading to fulfillment and happiness, often leads to exhaustion and emptiness. As such, he argues that a return to negativity, to the ability to say no, might be the antidote we need. But let's delve a bit deeper. How exactly can saying no lead to a more fulfilling life? How can negativity, as Han defines it, counteract the emptiness of modern life? And what might this look like in practice?